All right, we're back. It's Sunday, and Brian and I have started our own little program here to help share what we're doing. Hopefully, those three menu items helped out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner to get you started. Maybe get your juices flowing up in your mind on how you can cook foods a little bit differently, how to be smart about it. One of the things I forgot to tell you about the Asian meal is I did put green onions. I may have said that, but if I didn't, I did add green onions in that for flavor as well. But I use a lot of natural ingredients to make it very flavorful. This segment, we're going to be talking about what our adventure has been, what our emotions have been over these years that we've been overweight. For me, it's been since I've been about 25 years old, is where I've really been obese and overweight and have been struggling with my weight. So, and a big part of that has been I've allowed my job to overcome me and allowed myself to work ridiculous hours and to never stop for lunch or stop for breakfast. Now, I will actually make sure everybody knows I am stopping for lunch to make sure I eat because I have to eat so I'm not starving when I get home. So, I'm going to walk back around and we're going to get started.
One of the biggest things about that is, you notice that means he took some time for himself. And I can't emphasize that enough. If you take time for yourself, you end up being a better person for everybody else around you in the long run. So you may think, wow, I'm doing all this for everybody else. But if you just take that little time for yourself, that's going to be a very important thing.
And that's what I wasn't doing. When I got reelected in this term, this last time around, I told myself, you've got to make time to go to the gym. You've got to make time to eat right. Now, I'll tell you, the last 3 weeks have not been real good on getting to the gym wise, but I've made sure I have not stopped eating, and I eat well. A big part of that is because we've started our radio show, and we've moved to 6 o'clock in the morning, and I get up at 3:45 in the morning so I can get ready to go to the radio show on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. So what we're going to talk about now, though, is the emotional part of the battle of losing weight. Like you'll notice that, I look kind of ridiculous because I'm wearing a shirt that is a 7X shirt. And I'm down to a 2X, but I haven't gone out and spent a lot of money yet on refurbishing my wardrobe. And so it's a nice reminder that, hey, you know what? You used to fill this out all the way and have to stretch it to make sure it would fit as a 7X shirt. One of the things that I remember going through every day, and this was an everyday thing for me, was I would wake up in the morning and I would say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be better today. I am going to eat right. I'm going to eat my breakfast. I'm going to eat good lunch. I'm going to eat dinner. Well, I would miss breakfast. I would miss lunch because I would go through court right through lunch. And then I'd get home for dinner about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I would just consume everything. Or I'd stop on my way home, eat something from a fast food restaurant, and then go home and eat something for dinner. And on top of it, and so then, of course, while I'm eating it, and I've related this to like a drug addiction almost. It's like I was addicted to bad food, and when I was eating it, it was almost euphoric. It felt so good eating it, and it felt so good and tasted so good, I thought, that it was almost like everything had disappeared. All my worries would go away, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's kind of how it felt. Like this food and this feeling of eating all this food made everything kind of go away and vanish. Well, when I was done eating it, and almost immediately, this wasn't even something that I would have a layover euphoric feeling of. Almost immediately I would feel like I'd overeaten, which I had. I would feel stuffed and feel miserable. And then that whole euphoric feeling was gone, and it was replaced with feelings of guilt. I felt guilty that I let myself down again another day. And I would get really upset about it with myself internally. And of course, I wouldn't share this with anybody. This was all something I did internally. And then going through that, then I would become depressed about it. And it's just like I would say, you know what, I'm just not going to ever be able to lose any weight. I'm not going to ever be able to do this because I can't stop from eating. And so it felt like a drug addiction almost, like I had an addictive personality trait and I had lost control over it. What's funny is that I had everything else in my life lined up. A lot of people, it's funny, when I was running for re-election 2 or 3 terms ago, Channel 4 News was out doing a story on my running for re-election, and a guy walked up and the reporter asked, are you going to vote for Judge Payton today? And he goes, well, who's Judge Payton? And she pointed to me, and he looked at her and he said, well, I'd never vote for him because he's fat, and fat people must be lazy. Well, she just couldn't believe it. She was astounded by it, didn't air it, cut it, and came over to me and apologized. And the thing is that's a big misnomer because a lot of people have asked me, has your energy level gone down? My energy level hasn't gone up, and it hasn't gone up. My energy level's always been the same. I've always been very, very energetic. I've always started my day very early in the morning and finished my day very, very late at night and never slowed down. In fact, I would amaze people like Brian and other friends of mine who would see me in the parades, because I would actually get out there and at 477 pounds, walk that 2.5 miles completely and keep up with everybody. And they couldn't understand how I was able to do it. So from an energy level, my energy level hasn't changed. Now, it doesn't mean that Brian's hasn't.
See, I was different in the aspect of my highest weigh-in was 487 pounds. And when I was at that weight, I couldn't walk to my mailbox. My mailbox was about, I would say, 40, 50 yards from my front door. So walking to my mailbox, I could get to the mailbox, get the mail. I'd have to catch my breath to be able to walk back to my home. And the same thing, if I was going to a movie, I couldn't walk from the parking lot all the way into the movie theater and get a seat. I would have to take breaks as I went along. So that we come from different aspects on that. My energy levels have really increased because I couldn't do the things that you were doing, and we were basically the same weight.
Yeah, because my top weight was 477 pounds. And so that's kind of the key. And that's why Brian and I decided to do this together, because everybody's asked me, and Brian's gone on my Facebook page and looked at all the wonderful comments, and I can't tell you folks how thankful I am that I have so many people that care about me and care about my health and have been, I mean, unbelievably supportive. And we can all be supportive of each other. You know, I had somebody send me a private message last night that said, John, we've watched what you're doing and we're doing it as well. We started it and we've now lost 12 pounds, my wife and I have, in 3 weeks. You know, right now I've got 6 families that are sending in how they're losing weight and to please have me put more recipes on, because in a total combined weight of these 6 families, they've lost 122 pounds in 30 days. And so thank you for sharing your stories with me, because it inspires me to want to stay motivated to inspire you. And so thank you for that. But the key is, everybody's asked me, what's the secret? And the secret is, as I told you when I was cooking, the secret, and here's the name of our cookbook, Living in Volume. In my mind, I don't want to eat a small diet-sized portion. It's kind of like those movies when you spend $200 on a meal and they come out and they have something that fits on your teaspoon about the size of a penny, and the guy looks at the girl and says, let's go somewhere else and get something to eat after the fact. Mm-hmm. Because you're not full. It doesn't fill you up. For me, I have to feel like I'm eating a hearty portion. And as you see in front of you, those are my 3 meals. That's a lot of food. There is no room on that plate, on any of those plates, where they're empty. And so I have learned how to volumize my food. And so I'm able to feel like I'm eating just this big old portion of food, and it's crazy. But really all it is 200 to 400 calories, depending on what I add to it. All 3 of my meals right here, less than 1,000 calories.
Now, I will say also, when you're starting out on this, John, you're now in week 35, I believe.
Week 35.
So think about that. It took 35 weeks to get to this point. He didn't get to this point overnight. Remember, you said you had, at first you had the little bread thins that you started with, so you would have some kind of bread. You don't expect to change everything all at once, because if you do that, you might set yourself up for failure, because you're trying to overload your system to something that you're not used to doing. Find 1 meal a day to do something like this, and see how that meal makes you feel compared to the other meals, and see how you feel afterwards. So if you eat your regular breakfast, let's say, and you eat your regular lunch, but you come home and you have a dinner like this, you're going to feel a lot better after dinner than you did after breakfast and lunch. You're going to start realizing, oh wow, and I need to start doing that with some other meals. But if you did all this all at once and just went gung-ho, you know, if you can do it, great. I hope you can. But I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed mentally about what's going on.
The key is to pick what works for you. And, you know, people used to tell me all the time, you know, John, I would love people's advice. You know, John, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't carouse, I don't do crazy things. What do you mean lifestyle change? My lifestyle's pretty good. I eat horribly, but my lifestyle's pretty good. Well, for me, in March, it clicked. It was very clear to me. It's not a diet that you need. It's what is it that you can live with, but yet eat healthy, and eat healthy enough where you can lose weight. Because I'm not going to do a diet forever. Like I said on the previous segment, you know, Brian is an Advocare rep, and I get the probiotics from him to make sure that my stomach keeps moving and everything moves like it's supposed to, because I'm eating such high protein levels now. And so, he would sell me the drink, the shakes, because that's what I wanted to do. Well, I wasn't going to do the shakes forever. You know, there's all kinds of them out there. I'm not picking on Advocare by any means. There's all kinds of these. Hey, if you buy us and use us, you'll lose 20 pounds. Well, that's great. But then 2 months later, I'm gonna put that 20 pounds back on, plus 20 more, because I can't live like that. And so when we write our book, because Brian and I have talked about writing a book, because Brian was at 487, I was at 477. I had yo-yo diet, and we're going to get into Brian's gastric bypass surgery, and let him talk to you about that here in just a second. But you know, the bottom line is that how can I live comfortably within my food? And I know that sounds crazy, but all of us like to eat. And the people that I've talked to that are overweight, that are trying to lose weight, that just can't, they're like, I like to eat and I don't want to feel like I can't eat. I have found a way to do that with regular food by being very, very smart and staying away from certain things.
And something you have to realize, John and I didn't get to nearly 500 pounds, each of us getting to that weight, by not loving to eat. We love to eat too.
Oh, yeah.
We just had to find a way that we could do it in a healthy way. And we're a little bit different. And you'll be different. And that's okay. But you know, you just have to grasp some of the same concepts and work that into your life.
You know, for example, you'll notice there's no bread on any of these plates. I don't miss it. You know, I have found an alternative to the pasta. It's finding alternatives to the things you love. I don't want to drink just plain water. I've met people that have told me they can't just drink water. Well, they've got all these water enhancers now that you can drink. I have found this Crystal Light one. It's coconut, mango, and pineapple. That when you put it, you could. I had one of my coworkers or one of my employees try it, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is better than the pina colada mix. I could do pina coladas with this." That's how good that stuff is. They have mastered these water enhancers that have little to no calories in them, so you're still getting the water, but you're not just drinking water. You've added flavor to it. So you found, because for me that's a treat. When I do the water enhancer, I feel like I'm drinking a soda or a Coke, but I'm not, and I'm not getting all the bad that comes with that. And I'm drinking the water. But I love to drink water anyways. But the key is to find something that you can live with, not diet. You know, diets are not forever, generally speaking. You have to learn how you're going to live within your food. And this is how I live within my food, is becoming creative. And I'm going to pass all of my recipes on to you. I'm going to have Brian pass all of his recipes on to you. We're going to do this to help you. We're going to put together a book, and we're going to sell this recipe book. I can't promise when it's coming out, but we're going to work on it. But to get back to the emotional state, so every day I would wake up almost in a depressed state. Now what's funny is that in all other aspects of my life, I was super happy. I was happy with my job, I was happy with the people I worked with, I was happy with what I was doing with helping other people, but that's exactly what I was doing, is I didn't know how to say no, and I was helping all these other people and I wasn't helping myself. And what's interesting is again, I make myself take lunch. I make myself eat breakfast. So I eat breakfast, I don't pass it, I eat lunch, and I'll say in court, folks, we have to take a break, I have to eat lunch, I can't miss lunch. And we'll take a break. But for my mentality, for my mental health, that's good, because that means I'm taking time out for myself. And that's what cooking is. You saw how long it took me to cook these 3 meals. I cooked all 3 of these meals with prep time in less than an hour. You can do it too, it's not hard to do. I will tell you, interestingly enough, Brian talked about, you know, doing it gradually and doing it 1 meal at a time till you get to 3 meals. That'd be fantastic. Again, the secret is your secret. It's how you learn to live with your food. And so about 20 weeks in, I hadn't eaten fast food, and I was out with my nieces, and we were in Princeton, and we were doing something in Princeton. I don't remember what it was, and they wanted to stop at McDonald's, and it was Sunday. On Sundays, and that's something I'm going to add in here to the mix in just a second, but on Sundays, I eat whatever I want. If I'm in the mood for a candy bar, I'm going to have a candy bar. If I want a slice of pizza, I'll have a slice of pizza. That way I know I'm not going to, for always, not be able to have something that I want, and I have this craving, and I overwhelm, and I kill what I'm doing. So I take care of those cravings. I might want a scoop of vanilla ice cream. I'll have that on Sunday. So we stopped at McDonald's, and I got a sausage egg McMuffin, a hash brown, and a Dr. Pepper. And I missed work the next day because I was sick. And it didn't taste good. I have not eaten fast food since then. I've eaten fast food 1 time in 35 weeks.
It's amazing how much your taste buds change.
Yes. And when we go out to a restaurant, I can hardly eat at a restaurant. There are only a few because the food doesn't taste good. And I'd rather have this stuff, even though it's faster. So that's why Brian and I think are going to figure out how to package these types of foods where you can buy them and be healthy like we're being healthy. But, you know, and some of you are thinking, because I had